Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Cafe, and time now for the County Diary. But even before we get to that, every third week of November every year is the Road Safety Week, which is celebrated to just create awareness on matters road safety. And of course, even this coming close to the festive season, there is a need to, of course, look and be road aware. And this morning, we look at a conversation that we earlier had with Award Otet, who is a global road safety trainer, as well as a coach, to just speak on matters road safety, as well as what to look out for during this festive season.
This particular conversation with us is Award Otet, a road safety trainer. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Minko salama. I should probably would have told you to come with one of those reflectors. Mimi nikitembea along hapo nikuwe na, one of them.
It's always a good thing to have a reflective material on your body. And for your viewers, they might be wondering, must we really have them? No. Just put on bright clothing. It could just be a red shirt, a yellow jacket, just to something catchy so that you are able to be seen. So we are in the reflective jacket to be seen. Yeah.
Does that apply only at night, or also maybe even during the day?
All round time. I put it on in the morning. When I'm going to sleep is when I remove it. Even inside the house, I still have it.
All right. Enough of the whole bent about reflective and all that. So who's Otet really?
Award Otet is a born-again Christian, a global road safety trainer, and certified IRU, International Road Transport Unit, under the European Union. I am a professional trainer in ADR, transportation of dangerous goods, gas, biochemics, explosives. A trainer in CPC, competency of trailer drivers. Currently, I am working in Qatar under the Ministry of Transport, and just concluded the training of 7,700 bus drivers in Qatar for the World Cup and 6,200 light drivers. That was massive.
Oh,
that was massive.
I'm assuming you had a whole team behind you.
Yeah, it's not a one-man job. It's the T of T. You train the trainers, then the trainers go and train. So overseeing it from a point, but you also have to ensure that the message goes deep. We still don't have much of driverless cars, so our vehicles have someone sitting inside them to control them, and that is why we are able to see like the crashes of this morning. So a lot needs to be done. A lot really needs to be done to help us save lives. For one to, when people listen to road safety, they are like, oh, keep left, drive well. The main core of road safety is to save lives. You might donate blood to save a life. But if you play aimlessly on the road, if you go to the road without understanding the language of the road, then the socio-economic growth has a big impact on it.
Right.
And that is something that most people don't factor. People go to driving schools, they have driver's licenses. Ask them a simple traffic sign, what it means, how should you react to it, then
we'll get to the whole driving school and the whole menace, in it. I mean, we've seen cases of corruption amid some of these driving schools. But then, first of all, having a wide experience in not only Kenya, but in different parts of the world, being a driver, should you really have a sense of, insane when you're driving along some of these highways? Because, I mean, someone would say if you're really too soft, for example, driving along some of these roads utaumia. You'd really not be able to access it. You'd be there for quite a long time. Do you have to be sort of quote unquote a bully also on the road?
Driving safely entails courtesy. Courtesy. To be a defensive driver means I can accommodate your mistakes. If I am a driver, there comes a point when I look at you in your car, I clearly see and understand that you are at the point of no return. Why does my car have brakes? So that I can be able to control and to allow you. But most people, they hoot. So the motion is still, the inertia is still 80, and they hoot. The horn is only to alert the other guy. Some of these cars have loud horns. It will send you into trauma. It will make you go blank. It hits you. It slaps you. So driving is all about courtesy. And mature drivers, I'm known globally for saying we have two types of drivers, vehicle movers and drivers. A driver will slow down for you. That is maturity. But a vehicle mover will hoot and try to even push you away. So maybe you are joining, and on the other side there is a motorcycle rider. So if this driver pushes you, already you are creating an incident, you're creating an accident, you're creating a crash. So it really needs a lot of courtesy and a high level of maturity in accommodating one another.
Right. Now, you really mentioned this, and I'm reminded of most of these public service vehicles. Some of them that we'd commonly, refer to as nganya. Speak on that. I mean, some of this really carry even more than 60 passengers. So if anything was to go wrong, you're having 60 people maybe who have lost their lives. And even as you were mentioning earlier, this means 60 families more are really crying there. Is it the fact that even the training for some of this is lacking for the drivers of some of these public service vehicles?
Training entails a lot, and every day we evolve and many things are coming up. The syllabus we are using in Kenya was designed in the 87s. Right now we have interchanges. We have intersections. If you go back to that syllabus, it's still roundabouts. The other day, last year, you saw an NTSA wanted to retest drivers. People who have driven for 15 years are failing because there is a lot of change. Mm-hmm. They only knew how to go into a 2-lane roundabout. Nowadays, we have even 4-lane roundabouts. Yes. They don't know which lane to use when they are going left or right. Mm-hmm. So training is very important. That is why most civilized nations are now keen on finding who can train, who is good in training, and they're taking them away. They're picking them, they're plucking them away. Training is very essential. And then there is what we call refresher courses. Once you have driven, I've not been in the country for about 1 year, 6 months now.
Okay.
I'm not just going to drive. In fact, today I came in a matatu, and people who know me are like, why? Why are you leaving your Mercedes? You're not driving it. I'm like, I need to be refreshed here because some part of my mind is still going to keep right.
Because you're used to the...
In fact, tomorrow I'm driving to Kisumu, and someone has to shadow me how to drive inside Nairobi. The other day I was trying to go to South B and I got lost. That was not a clear sign, so I said I will park it. Because when I get lost, I am moving at 60, I'm trying to understand, but there's another vehicle coming. In Kenya, people don't obey lane discipline. So they can be fast on any lane. Yeah. So maybe I'm on lane number 1, I'm doing the right speed, which is between 0 to 60, and they're coming at 80.
Yeah.
So I'm slowing them down. So I said, someone has to refresh me for 1 week, then I'll be able to drive for maybe 2 months. And then when I go to the other side, I also have to do another refresher. Now, this is personal effort. There are many areas where people can do refresher trainings. There are schools that are doing that. But the essence of it is training is not for the weak. Training is for the strong, people who want to do it right. Look at the police forces, the armed forces. They train, they go serve, they come back, they do a full refresher course, again they go back because things have changed. Right now in Kenya, it is raining. Ask any driver, what is hydroplaning? Hydroplaning.
Huh.
Hydro means water.
Oh, hydro.
Planing means it's sliding on top of water. They don't know about it. That is why it's drizzling. The first few parts of the drizzle is coming to touch the ground. There has been exhaust fumes that are oily.
Okay.
Water and oil will not mix, so one has to be on top. Basically, the vehicle tire is not touching the ground. And that is why when it is drizzling, people step on their brakes and the vehicle still planes. It can slide to the left or to the right. These are things that in this season of the El Nino, people must really know. Otherwise, expect more than this.
And you mentioned a very interesting, point of view, because this accident happened on Monday morning around 3 a.m. there. If you're probably to have the driver here with us and tell us what really happened, even people around there, and some of these drivers, not only for this Monday morning accident, some would really fault the road. In your experience, how much does the road, the construction of it, really alter? Because some would say, well, this road was built back in 1960. It hasn't really been added, anything else. Maybe even some of the residents who live there just come and construct their own, speed bumps. They won't really put much of the engineering perspective into it. They just ensure that there's a speed bump here so that cars can really slow down. But then, if you're a new driver on that road, or if you probably used it before that speed bump was erected, you'd probably not see it, for example, because it doesn't have maybe even the whole yellow lines to ensure that you slow down and you see it in the dark.
You asked a very interesting question. We have 3 causes of crashes. The human factor, number 1, 90% or even 96%. We have the mechanical factor, the vehicle itself having issues. And then we have the environmental factor. How many vehicles passed this route in this morning? They did not crash. Why only this? That takes us into checking category number 1 and category number 2. These vehicles left their origin places for the destination. There was no complaint of brakes or anything. They were mechanically sound. Then it leaves us with number 1. The crash took place at about 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of something called the biological clock? When it gets to 9 o'clock in the evening, you start yawning because the body is telling you it's time to sleep. When you sleep, you rarely wake up to around 5 in the morning. After around 8 hours, the body starts to wake up, and that is about 5:30, 6 in the morning, when the body has well rested. I would be interested in knowing what time did the driver sleep. When the biological clock is shutting down, fatigue factors in. Fatigue is a mental state where you are awake, but the brain is shut. Sometimes you are driving and you see a bump, and the passenger is like, I expect to see a reaction from you, but you're just there. When you hit the bump, you're like, sorry. After you are flying over the bump is when you're now stepping on your brakes. There is a delay of 0.6 seconds. 0.6 seconds at 80 is not a joke. It's very big. So I read something on social media that the lorry drifted to the right. Yet to be confirmed, I'm waiting for the police report. But if it drifted, then we are now starting to look into the human factor, the fatigue factor. The driver knew he had a journey. Did the driver sleep 8 hours required? No. When you sleep 8 hours, the body has the white blood cells, the medical team.
Yeah.
They go and repair the body. That is why sometimes you can come and sleep when you are very tired, but when you wake up, you are new, you are strong. The medical team has worked. It's only that people tend to assume. One thing you will never fight is your own body. When it is tired, it is tired. And that is a factor that most people should really work on. Passenger vehicles, in other countries, there is a regulated time. You don't meet passenger vehicles with trucks on the road.
Right.
Trucks have their own time, passenger vehicles have their own time. At some point, different routes. So a lot really needs to be done, and I will insist, if you ask me, training. But training on what? Who has done the research on what needs to be trained? Who is developing the syllabus that needs to be trained? Right now, I'm lucky. I'm developing a syllabus of people who are being trained on the other side, and it is marvelous. It is working wonders.
But then, now I'm curious, and even the whole reason we had these photos here is just to give us the whole, whatever you're really telling us, but then what we are seeing here, this, for example, I mean, it's a truck and also a Nissan, matatu. And most common in our road accidents that you'll see, the photos, the videos, most of them, a huge percentage, correct me if I'm wrong, they are Nissans. Why is it though?
The chopper, to be specific. Before I left the country, I was told I'm not okay with this vehicle. I own this car. I own one of these ones. This vehicle is fitted with a big engine. Everybody in the world is happy about how fast my vehicle can accelerate from 0 to 100 in 4 seconds. That is where we are headed with the Bugattis and the Ferraris. When it is very easy to accelerate, it is 10 times problem in stopping it. So this type of a vehicle was designed to be a cargo van. Then we do a lot of modifications. If it is a cargo van, it clearly means it has two different center of gravities, when loaded and when not loaded. So when it's not loaded, it's a bit high. The clearance is much. But when it's loaded, it rests on the ground. When you put 16 adults who are 75 kgs, they're not even a ton. And the vehicle is meant to carry 3 tons. So it's empty, it's light. Look at the frame structure. There is a Toyota Hiace specifically meant for, it's on my YouTube channel, I posted it, meant for passenger transport. It even has the roll cages. Such of this, they don't have roll cages. So the body becomes a sharp object. Look at the way their seatbelts are. We need to have 3-point where the diaphragm is rested, but they only have the 2-point from waist to waist, so it leaves the upper body moving. And a whiplash is the movement of the neck. Just a slight one can kill you, because we have 7 bones here, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7. C1, 2 are not much delicate. 3 to 5 are the most delicate. That is why the head can turn, because of the muscles. So any slight movement of it, someone will suffocate. And the whiplash we get because of inertia. These vehicles, number one, they have the short nose, meaning the higher levels of absorbing kinetic energy is very high. If you look at the rating, safety rating is 2 stars. But we recommend from a safety perspective that 5 stars. So 1, the safety rating of these vehicles is 2, that is 0. The only person who is a bit safe is the driver, because there is that rod that supports the steering wheel. So they will be crushed, and if they survive, they cut the leg off and they sit on the wheelchair. So this vehicle needs to be reviewed. It has been recalled globally because of brake issues. It is easy to accelerate, but it is very hard to stop it. If you check on the track, there is the aspect of load. A stopping distance is longer in trucks because of the load that they have. You need, if you are driving at 80 kilometers per hour, you need 64 meters to stop safely. But if it is 80 for a loaded truck, you need double that. Those are things our people are not factoring. So the people behind the transport ministry should really review this chopper.
And I mean, you're part of the Ministry of Transport. So, and now I'm curious, why is it that, number one, solutions, one, either remove it from the road completely or modify it in a way that if drivers are really trained to use this kind of vehicle, the chopper as you put it, will it minimize road accidents?
Modification should never be done on this. Use it for the purpose. Today I cannot put these shoes on my shoulder and say instead of putting bling, I'm putting my shoes. Use it for the correct purpose. This is a cargo van. This and the Probox and the Succeed are cargo vans. Go into developed countries. These are used to supply meat from the slaughterhouses. Loads and tons of meat. Most of these vehicles come with refrigerators, so we modify them. Anytime you use the word modification, it means a trial and error. It may work, it may not work. So let us use vehicles purposefully. In this country, 80% of buses that you see around are running on lorry chassis. Mm-hmm. Very few are on real bus chassis. The ones that are on real bus chassis, it's very rare to even find that they rolled over. So we need to do a review. The problem is, the Bible says, my people suffer and perish for lack of knowledge. The people who have this knowledge, we are not in power. I'm not in the government. Mm-hmm. Actually, if now, I'm a visitor in this country. Mm-hmm. The people who are in that position, they don't have this knowledge. This knowledge, you don't just find it on Google. There are accredited bodies that will advise. The government needs to meet IRU. The government needs to meet the UN chapters and discuss this with them.
Right. And even as another whole bit of a big percentage of road accidents really cost, apart from the whole choppers and the whole Nissans, is, as you commonly put them, the piki-piki, the motorcycles. And this really speaks on matters the supply and also the whole demand of it. There is a huge demand when it comes to even, for example, I tell you about it's about 40-something days to Christmas. So that means even someone who owns some of this, or even the driver, they know that by Christmas they really have to beat targets, transporting people either from Nairobi or different cities to where people really want to go to. And motorcycles also have the whole, kind of demand around different areas. The training on the same, is it also lacking? Your thoughts on the same?
We don't have motorcycle training institutions in this country. If we did, then we would be having Wamuyu Karaoke. She's a very good trainer, mm-hmm. who has ridden in about 20 countries, giving press statements every Friday in this country. If you can ride a bicycle, it is easy for you to balance on a motorbike. Yeah. They just go around a football pitch, mm-hmm. and then good to go. If someone is on a motorbike and they are carrying their helmet like a baby, there is a problem. They are riding, but they are carrying it like a baby. Already, there is a problem. Training is more important. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with someone, and there is a high number of motorcycles that are being imported into the country, mm-hmm. double the number we have. But we have 0 training institutions for the motorcycle. The motorcycle is a weapon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a weapon. But then, a dangerous one. But
then even as you continue, we do have training schools, and they also offer for the same, for trucks, for Nissans, for different types of vehicles. And motorcycles are part of them. Should we now have some of these trainers that you're really quoting, engaging and partnering with some of these driving schools?
Enforcement is a big part of it. Enforcement is a big part of it. How many motorcycle schools do we have? Let me be brutally honest. The training schools are in business. They are not in sharing the knowledge. Most definitely it is a business, so mm-hmm. they want to factor in how fast can we register 50, take them 3 rounds, help them get license, they go. Up to today, there is a junction outside here. There are people who, when they are joining the road, the Kiambu Road, right? They don't know whether they should be indicating left or whether they should be indicating right. They want to go to town. They don't know whether to be indicating left or whether to be indicating right. They want to join the road. And they have cars. Communication is on our blinkers. So I am miscommunicating to a motorcycle rider who did not go for training but is on top of a motorbike. Are you seeing the recipe? Mm-hmm. Then we are going to serve a disastrous biryani. And that is why I say, between now and December 31, this number is going to go very high. This number is going to go very high. I assure you. Start counting today. Monday was 11, right? Mm-hmm. Start counting today. By the time we hit December 31, more than 1,000 are going to go.
And I'm curious even why, for years we've seen the whole, when it comes to matters festive seasons and all this, the number of road accidents really increases. In your experience, why is this?
This is the time when schools are closed, people are going to catch up with their loved ones. It is in their calendar. What I have done with my experience, I don't travel on Friday. I travel on Monday. Because I know Friday, everybody is rushing there. People are working half day. They are already tired in the rain. They want to drive from here to Busia, to Mombasa, wherever, to Meru, to Narok, Isiolo, to Rukana. They are already tired. They want to leave late, and they want me to know that their vehicles have power. They want to show me they can control the vehicle very well. Yet when they are holding the steering wheel, they are holding it in unique, absurd postures that even if they run over a small stone, they cannot control the vehicle. The vehicle has no stability.
So basically, as Kenyans say, gari najua kwa nyumba. The vehicle knows at home, so it will just...
They say the vehicle knows the way home. Mm-hmm. That was in the US, because in the US they have driverless. Mm-hmm. But here, it is a big lie. Yesterday I was going to Juja. It is drizzling. And someone crossed from lane number 1. I was at 100. Straight, not even waiting on the middle lane with me to check. I would say on the middle lane, lane number 2, the driver had seen me. And immediately he went half. He had to come back because there was a vehicle that zoomed past. If by chance it was going to crash, I would also be involved because I was at 100.
Yeah.
My vehicle has very good brake systems. I had kept a very safe following distance, but then he reduced it. So he had reduced my reaction time. My reflex action time was all reduced.
What's a safe distance according to you? I mean, how many meters should I, if I'm going 100 and you also probably the same kind of kilometers?
If you are in the same speed, you need to count 4 seconds. So how do you count 4 seconds? If you say 1, 2, 3, 4, it is faster. The standard formula of counting
and it matters meters,
seconds is 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. You cannot basically measure it on meters. Mm-hmm. Probably it will be 3 car lengths. But if the vehicle passes any object, maybe an electric pole, then I start counting 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. At the 4th, I should be reaching the exact pole that vehicle passed. If I reach before, I need to slow down. I really need to slow down. So these are basic information that people need to have on the roads. We don't have them. Mm-hmm. And that is why we even find motorcycles on the most inner lanes in the highway.
Yeah.
There is a rule. Mm-hmm. There is a category of a motorbike that should not leave lane 1. There's a category of a motorbike that should not leave lane 2. The BMWs, the presidential escorts, those ones can even do lane 3 or 4 because the CC is worth it. The weight is worth it. The streamlinedness of it is worth it. But you meet people with motorbikes that are shaky. And they're at 100
Okay.
in the innermost lane, where the matatu wants to squeeze the Nganya and then go and drop.
Right.
We are going to experience more.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, I'm curious. Let's take a look at the whole matters recognize, understand, and act. The whole RUA. What is this? Basically, all that after this short break. So stick around for that.
Thank you.